Okay, hey guys, am I audible to everyone? Yeah, I think I am. Okay, yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Override 21. This is going to be an introductory interactive session to give you a brief introduction of what the event's going to be like. So, I'm Naman. On the stream right now, we have Kulachi and Arnav. Guys, you want to?
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello,
so that's
Hello,
Kulachi
everyone.
hello
and
everyone.
Arnav. Yeah, we three will be guiding you guys through the interactive session. So this is a brief introduction about us for starting. We're the core team members from the Google Developer Student Club. I specialize in Flutter. Kurachi specializes in UI UX design, and Arnav specializes in native Android. So if you guys have any queries or anything, you can drop it in the Discord channel. We'll be glad to help you out. So in this session, we'll be introducing all the prerequisites, know-hows, toolkits, and workflow essential necessary for all of you to have a smooth sailing through the event. For the most part, you can expect to have a grasp on all the general guidelines and practices to be followed while working on your application. I'll also go through the flow of events for the complete event in a few minutes. And yeah, okay, I'll go to that. I'll show you guys workflow of the events. Let me know if my screen is visible. Yeah, it is. Okay. So the event starts today, the 27th of August. As you know, right now we're commencing the event and giving you a introductory session. Uh, Tomorrow, which is 28th Saturday, you guys from today after the session till 29th of Sunday, which includes tomorrow Saturday, we'll be giving you time to brainstorm and think through your idea for the app. That is prototyping and getting a general idea of what's going to be the app, the designs, whatever you want to uh, develop in the rest of the week. You should envision this in the next 2 days and present it to us on Sunday, which is 29th August. We'll be evaluating you guys on the basis of your prototype, a part of the evaluation. From 30th August to 1st of September, you guys will be working on the implementation of your app. So you'll be developing the code and everything for it through the rest of the week. 2nd September is the deadline. So submission should be done on dev post with a short video description and of screenshots, and the code uploaded on GitHub should all be uploaded on 2nd September before midnight. We recommend you to upload it a little before midnight, like maybe a few hours before midnight, so that if there's any issues in submission, we can rectify it before the deadline's up. And 3rd September will be result announcement. We'll have the judges addressing you people and giving and announcing the results. So yeah, hopefully everyone has joined the Discord server who was participating for the event and have also made teams. It's very important for you people to make teams. So please ensure that all of you in the Discord server are assigned to a particular team. We also want you to register onto DevPost because that's where you will be submitting the whole your whole presentation. Like your whole code will be should be up on DevPost. That's where your submission will be. So yeah, we'll be giving an introductory address in a few more minutes. I'll just go through the rest of the stuff. Brainstorm and ideate. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. For the next 2 days, you guys will be allowed to brainstorm the idea and get a general idea of what is the workflow of your app. Sunday's presentation, we expect to start the presentations from 4 p.m. We'll be assigning you time slots, and we'll be hoping for you guys to present your app, your general idea for the app from 4 p.m. And rest of the week you can work on the implementation. You can develop your app, and as I said, submission on 2nd of August till midnight, and result announcement on Sunday. So now I'll be handing it over to Arnav. He'll be giving you a brief introduction about the workflow of how your app should be, like the workflow for your app.
Okay, so I'm Arnav. I'm from fifth sem from the PESO ECC campus, and I'll be sharing with you my developer checklist or my workflow that I use for the projects that I build. So I'll be sharing my screen.
Also, guys, we'll be answering your queries by the once we are done with all the introductory sessions, like whatever we have to introduce to you guys. So if you have any queries, please type it onto the comments of the video stream. We'll answer it in the end.
Yes. Okay, so how I would like to start off my developer journey is to decide on a tech stack. So if I'm building an application, I decide on what if I'm going to use Flutter or if I'm going to use Android. If do I need iOS users on the app or do I just need Android users? And yeah, so there's a nice article that I stumbled upon, uh, and I've linked to it over here. It tells you all the things like how your database should be, like which kind of database should you choose, and what are the other tech stack items that you need to choose. So yeah, if you go through it, you should be able to decide which tech stack you're going to use. Now the second stage that comes into development is design and flow of the app. So before developing anything, you need to make sure your design is like almost the same as the app, because if you want to do any changes during the development stage, then it's a little bit harder, and it becomes a little more confusing if you have a complex flow of the app. So what I suggest is design the whole app, and then like determine the flow like completely, and that will make it way more easier for you when you're developing. So you just need to refer the designs and then code up XML or Flutter or however you want, and then easy you can do the app. Now the two tools that I like to use are Figma and Adobe XD, and I've included the links for both. Adobe XD is also free, so you can get that, and Figma is on the browser. So if you don't want to download an external app, you can use Figma also. So yeah, so that's the design and flow, and Kulachi will be going over the design and flow after me, after I finish explaining this. So stay tuned for that. Now, the fourth thing that comes is deciding the project structure. Now, the reason why this is important is because like most of the time in the future, you're not going to be what do you say, developing your app again. The most probably you're going to hand it off to someone else, or like if your future self sees it, he should be able to understand what is going on and where are all the files and stuff. So deciding a project structure is very important, and there are different project structure conventions in different tech stacks and stuff. So like in React, Flutter, and Android Native, I have a few articles over here that you can check out. Some are on Medium. Yeah, most of them are on Medium. Yeah, so you can check out these articles. It's not mandatory, but it makes your code look clean, and if you're referring to it in the future, then what do you say, you'll be able to understand your code way more easier than you would without a proper structure. And same thing goes with file naming conventions. So if you name a file, it'll be sorted like according to that naming convention, right, in your what do you say, whatever your editor is. So it'll be easier for you to find the file also. So file naming conventions are important. Now, second is auto formatter. So suppose a lot of people are working uh, on the project, right? So like a group of three people working on the project. Now, if they have different indentation, the code looks a bit different. Like it looks incomplete. It doesn't look clean. Okay. So in most of the companies and stuff, what they do is they use an auto formatter, and so suppose they're coding in VS Code, they use Prettier, and in that you can what do you say? Keep a file that has the indentation and all that stuff, like all the details for the format, and it'll automatically format it based on the file. So what they do is they make a file with all the conventions they want to follow, and they include the file in the project, and whoever downloads the project and sets up their development environment, it automatically formats it, and it does that, and so you don't need to worry about indentation and stuff. And Android Studio already has an inbuilt formatter and other plugins, so you can Google those. So yeah, so that's about VS Code and auto formatting. And and the next thing is version control using Git, right? So if you are not familiar with Git, it is it is a way to like put checkpoints in your project. Okay, kind of like checkpoints. And I've included tutorials if you don't know how to use it. So you can watch this playlist on YouTube, and you can install Git from here. So this is important because yeah, it's better to keep track of what you have done. And if a lot of people are working on the project, like at least three of them are working on the project, or even two, it's easier to have the code updated for both of you guys if you're working on different systems. So version control using Git is important and basically used everywhere nowadays. And using encapsulation whenever possible is like a coding method that you create classes and you make sure your code is not repeating again. So suppose if I have a loading dialog, right, and I'll probably need the loading dialog like a bunch of times, like before the user when fetching data and stuff like that. So when I move it to a class, and then I just use that class again and again instead of writing the whole code for the loading dialog again. So yeah, and I've included an article that talks about why it's important and how it works, and why it should be used more often. And if you do these things, then you can be sure that you'll have a nice clean project to show to other people. And this is what I follow when I develop my thing, and we'll be sending you this checklist so you can go over it later on. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Yeah, we'll send it to you on. Oh, when will we get this document? Yeah, you'll send it. I will send it in the Discord. Um, yep, yep. Anything else? If not, Kolachi will be showing you the design part, and she'll be teaching you some stuff. So I'll hand over the thing to Kolachi now.
Hello everyone, I'm Kulachi Thapar. I'm a fifth sem student and I'm the current lead for GDSC at Electronic City campus. So today I'll be introducing you to what UI UX design is. So when we think about UI UX design, we think about just the front end of any application that you're trying to make, be it your mobile app or be it a website. So if we go by the literal definition, UI UX design is talking about what the user sees. So the full form of UI is user interface and UX is user experience. So UI is basically what your user sees on the screen, what they can interact with. And UX is how easy it is for the user to interact with what is on your screen. So, for example, if I'm making an app, I would want it to be easy for anybody to understand what the app is instead of having to, you know, think a lot or, not knowing how to do a basic task on the app. So that's why before building an app, although you can directly go and start building your app in Flutter or in Android Studio and start designing your app there, when you're first coming up with your idea, it's always better to design it in Figma first so that you can collaborate with the rest of your team and pitch in ideas and decide what your app should look like before you start coding it. Because what usually happens is, let's say if I'm trying to make an app and somebody says that, oh, this part of your app is very difficult to understand or very difficult to navigate, or I can't see what's written on it, it's easier to change those things in your design rather than having to change the code for it in your app. So today I'll be teaching you how to make a basic design on Figma. So this is a sample design that I've made, and we'll be sharing this link with you after this webinar. And let me show you what a prototype looks like. So the basic definition of a prototype is a dummy app. So a prototype can do exactly what an app does, except that it's not coded. So let's say if I'm scrolling here, it scrolls. If I, let's say, click on the user's profile, it takes me to the user profile. I can go back. If I go to search, it takes me to search. If I click on cart, it takes me to the cart. Let's say I go back to menu and add something to the cart. You can do those interactions. You go to view cart, it takes you to your cart. You can proceed to pay. It shows you your payment. You complete your order. You can see a sample pop up. Go back to home and you can see your home again. So this is a basic layout of what your app will look like once you've actually coded it in. So when you're designing, there are a couple of things that you should keep in mind. So starting with the first thing is choosing your frame. So nowadays we see that phones are either they're changing in size, right? Not everybody has the same size phone. So usually when you're choosing which phone to design on, you should choose something that's an average size. So it's neither too wide nor is it too long. So going with something like, let's say the iPhone Pro X or the iPhone 8 as well. Either of these are fine. So I'll be going with the iPhone 11 Pro. So this is my phone screen. And here is where I'll be designing what I want. So now thinking on an actual app, there's always, you always need to make sure that you have borders so that, you know, your whatever is on your screen is not sticking to the edges. So for that, if you go here, there's an option for layout grid. Now, as you see, it's added some grids to the phone screen. Now, all we want is for it to be columns, and we need just 2 columns so that we can ensure that we're leaving gap from the sides. So now gutter means this place in the middle, this white line. So what you want to do is, since you don't really know the exact, so yeah, so 350 sounds like a good size. So now if you see these red lines, they're going to stay on your screen forever while you're developing your app. So all you need to do is make sure that all of your components lie between these 2 lines. Now, how to add components? So here you have an option for adding multiple like different types of either images. You can add an image, or you can add different types of shapes, or you can add lines and arrows and everything. So let's just start with the basic rectangle. Here, let me say I'm adding a rectangle. You can, on the right side of your screen, you'll see options to choose how big your rectangle should be. So let's say this is 266. I want it to be a proper 250. And this can, let's say, be 150. So now that my rectangle is chosen, you can just drag drop it to the exact center of the screen and where you want to place it. So this is how you need to start designing, by deciding what your page is going to look like. So let's say if this is my sign in, my landing page, whenever, like when a user opens the app, this is the page they see first. I'd probably want a big illustration here describing what my app is, along with, let's say, my app name at the bottom and an option to sign in or sign up. So those are the components that you're going to put here. So let's say if I put another box here, this can be the box that I'm using to make my sign in button, right? And then if you see this option on the right, this will add a curvature to your button. So let's say if I, let's say if I add 30 to that, it's going to make it circular. So these are some things that you can add to your app just to make it, you know, a little better looking. And if you go to inspect here, and you see code written, right? You can change this code to Android. And then this is going to show you how to, like for a specific thing, you will see here Android. So this can show you how this object can be written in code. So you can basically, like, not all of the things here, but you can copy most of the things from here to your actual app to basically translate your design to an actual app. Now, the next thing is very important, which is typography. So when you're making an app, you need to make sure that everything in your app is constant. You can't have one heading that's of size 15 pixels, let's say, and another heading that's of size 10 pixels, because that makes it look a little awkward, right? So what you can do is, let's say here I'm adding a text and I'm going to say hello. And then let's say I'm adding another text here. And here I'll say this is body. And let's say I add another one. And I'm going to call this as this is button. Okay. So these are some basic, let's say I'm going to reuse these texts all throughout my application. So what I can do is, let's say I want this to be a heading. So I'm going to change, let's say, so usually when you're doing an app development, you keep your font sizes to be odd numbers. So if you're going for a heading, you can go for 15 maybe, not more than that, because it looks a little awkward. And let's say if I want to make it bold, I can change that. And then there are these 4 buttons in the top right that say style. If I go to that and click on a plus, I'll get an option to create a new style. So let's say I call this title. title text, and then I create the style. So now if I ever add any more text here, let's say trying title. Okay, it was already in the font. Yeah, so if I go here and then let's say, let me just change it to make it normal. Right. So let's say that's what I've written, but I want it to be a title. So I can just click on the four buttons, and here I see my option called title text. So instead of having to define it again and again, you can just define it once and keep reusing it throughout your app. It'll also make it, so that it's same everywhere. And let's say if you change this, you change the definition of title text, it'll change everywhere throughout your app. So it'll remain constant. Now, one last important thing while making your app is this rule. So the rule is called 60, 30, and 10. So whenever you're making an app, you need to make sure that the colors that you choose are in this ratio. So 60 should be your main color, 30 should be your secondary color, and 10 should be your highlight color. So whenever you're choosing your color, make sure that you're highlighting with one specific color. And if you're designing, let's say, text, that's in one specific color, and everything has its own color so that it remains constant. Also, to define colors, let's say if this is the box that I'm trying to color, and let's say I choose a random color. So let's say this is the color I want. This can also be made a constant by clicking on this by clicking on the four dots. And then if you click on the plus, it'll give you an option to add a color. So let's say I call it red, and I create the style. Now this red is going to be available throughout my app. So if I want to color this, I click on the four dots and click on the red. So that also makes sure that by mistake, you're not copying the wrong hex code from one place to another. Now, the most important part when it comes to designing an app is creating prototypes. So if you see on the top right, there's an option called prototype. And so now if you see, if I'm hovering over any of these elements, you see that blue little dot on the side, right? So let's say I click on that and I drag it till here. Now this shows me something called interaction details. What that means is when I interact with this big red box, it's going to do something on my app. So here you have multiple options saying on tap, on drag, while hovering, and multiple options. So I'm just going to choose the basic on tap. It says navigate to, or you can open an overlay, which means that your previous page will still remain and this will just be on top of the page. You can swap your overlay and other things like that. And then you can change the way your animation looks. Like, for example, if you want the screen to pop up, you can choose that. If you want the screen to swipe in from the left or swipe out to the right, you can choose move in and move out, and that's how it works. So let's say I'm just choosing instant. So when I tap on this red thing, red box, it's gonna move to the iPhone X2. So how to check how that works is if you click on this play, it's gonna show you how your prototype looks. So it's the first time, so it's taking some time to load. So this was the thing that we just made, right? So if I click on this plus, okay, yeah, you won't be able to tell because it looks the same. I'm gonna change this color to, let's say, a different color, let's say yellow, and I'm gonna restart it. So now what should happen is when you click on your rectangle in the first screen, it should take you to your next screen. Right, it's taking a little long to load because can multiple people use Figma at the same time for the same template? Yes. So what happens is you can add a team to your Figma, and whoever email ID you add to that team, they can collaborate with you and change anything and give comments and all that stuff on your Figma. So now if I click this, it's changing to the next screen because it's an instant, it's instantly changing. So like that, you can basically create your entire idea over here. So while you're trying to ideate what to do, you can do it here. So we'll be sending you this sample template so that you can have some idea. Oh, also one more important thing is you see that these icons are here, right? And obviously you can't sit and make all these icons. So we'll give you some resources. So there's one website called the Noun Project. They basically have a lot of different icons that you can use. They basically have icons for everything. And there's another website called Undraw. they have a lot of illustrations that you can use throughout your website, and all of these illustrations can change color. So depending upon whatever color you choose for your app, you can use that. You can just put that color here. Let's say I change it. It'll change the color for all of your illustrations. And the last is Dribble. So Dribble is basically a website for designers. So if you ever run out of ideas what to do, you can always head over to Dribble and just scroll through here, and I'm pretty sure you'll find something very fun to do. Yep, so that's basically it about UI and UX design. If you have any questions, you can drop it here, and all of us will be available on the Discord for any questions. And basically, if you have any questions, you can come over to Discord and just ping us at core, and we'll be there to help you uh, with any doubts that you have, or you can just drop it on the comment section right now.
Okay, guys, I'll be taking over from now. I'll be giving you a brief introduction of Flutter. So yeah, I'll be giving you a Flutter introduction. I prepared a slide PPT for this. So why do we use Flutter over native Android? Because it's a single code base. So if you guys have developed an app or have a basic understanding, you'll know that for Android, you have to use Java for native Android. And for iOS, you need to use Swift if you're doing it only for those particular platforms. So what Flutter gives an advantage is that it's just one code. It's just one language called Dart. So if you learn only one language, you'll be able to code for both iOS and Android. Another key point of Flutter is that you can use widgets, like in the sense that it's similar to classes in Java if you have a basic understanding of that. So that means you can create a certain part of your app and reuse it over and over again. And finally, the one of the important points I'd like to highlight on is that it's easier to understand than Java and Swift. Because even I learned it last year. I mean, kind of a noob to the language, like little bit more experience. But yeah, as a person who started learning it for the first time, I found that Dart is a little bit more user friendly and you can understand it more easily. So I'll guide you guys through the initial setup which is required for Flutter. So first, you can, as an IDE, you can download Android Studio or you can use VS Code. VS Code is professionally used everywhere, but I would suggest as a beginner, you guys should use Android Studio because it helps you, it provides more functionality and it's better than VS Code. Next, you'll have to install Flutter, and I'll show you for Android Studio. This will be the link. We'll put up all the links on the Discord channel once you guys come back after the session. So this is the link for Android Studio. You can click on this button and you can download the 912 MB file. After that, you'll have to install Flutter. The way to install Flutter is you can do it two ways. One is to download the Flutter SDK, or you can clone the repository via Git. Git is what even Arnav talked about. It's a way to like keep your code synchronized amongst various your users. So if you download, you can also like download the SDK for Flutter via Git. So this is another link to download the Git. And once you download Git, you will have to go to the particular directory you want to download Flutter into, and you can put this command on your command prompt, git clone http the Flutter repository, and you'll get all the files onto that directory. Once you do that, a very important step after that is to update your environment variables. Environment variable is like, I can give you a brief introduction, is that when you're doing a program, when you're doing a function, you assign a local variable, which means it has only locality to only to the function. Then you have a normal variable, which is for the program. Like a global variable, you can use it across the whole program. Environment variable is when you want to use a variable across different programs. It's something which is uniform throughout your OS. So it's very important to update your environment variable, the path of your Flutter directory. So in the place where you like run this command, like where you download the Flutter SDK, you need to go update that path into your Flutter into your environment variables. So this doc, I will send the link on Discord also, so you can follow this doc, which tells you exactly how to add the path to your environment variables. Once you guys are done with that, once adding the path variable, you can open Android Studio and set up an AVD. AVD is basically Android Virtual Device. So whenever you're testing your code, you have to run it. You have to see how it looks on a particular phone. So Android Studio helps with that by providing emulators. Emulators are basically virtual devices on your laptop which replicate a mobile phone, which replicate any Android phone. So Android Studio provides that. So if you go to configure and you go to AVD manager, see, right now I have Pixel 2 XL and Pixel 3a XL. You guys can also add other emulators like Pixel XL, 4a, depending upon whatever your needs is. I would generally suggest you guys to go with Pixel 2 XL or Pixel 3a because it has a particular resolution which would help you in developing the code to make it uniform across other phones. But the problem with emulators is it takes up a lot of memory and processing power. So if you have a laptop which is not up to a high end, your laptop's going to crash. And take my word, I've done it a couple of times. It's crashed. I've lost whatever process, like whatever code I've written because of this. So I suggest you guys, if in case you don't have a very high end laptop, not to go with emulators. What I would rather suggest you guys is to use your phone directly. If you have an Android phone, you can connect it to your laptop, and I will guide you through that step also. So you can basically run the app on your phone. So another thing, once you open up Android Studio, this is not how your Android Studio will look initially. It will not show you a create new Flutter project or anything, because I've added a few plugins to Android Studio. So what happens is, once you download Android Studio, once you open here, you go to configure and you go to this option called plugins. Once you go to plugins, you need to search for Flutter. I've already got it installed. This is how it will look for you. Once you go to the Flutter plugin, there will be an option to install it. You guys have to install it. It will also install another plugin called Dart, which will help you with that. And once you install both of them and restart Android Studio, this is how your whole Android Studio user interface will look. So this is how it will look. And once you want to start developing your code, you go to create new Flutter project. You pick Flutter app here. You choose your SDK path. This is the SDK which you downloaded initially, the one which you downloaded through Git. So this, you have to mention the path for your Flutter SDK. Then you go next. The name of your project name. So I give it as test. Just a description and where you want to store the path where you want to store the code. And organization is basically a domain name for your code. So right, you can keep it anything. It's not something which is something which you have to pre-think or anything. You can name it anything. I just leave it as com.example. Languages. Android can be developed in two languages, Kotlin and Java. I would prefer Java. If you guys prefer Kotlin, you can go for Kotlin too. And for iOS language, I'll go for Swift. So once you do that, I click on finish. Test must be a valid. Okay, yeah. Guys, you cannot have caps. You need to keep everything in underscore. You have to keep everything in lowercase. Or maybe not. Will conflict with, oh, okay. Yeah. Test app for DSC. And once that is done, it will take a few seconds or minutes. Okay, it takes a few seconds to give you the basic app. So yeah, once you start off with this is how it looks as a dummy app. Flutter, when you initially start with a new project, Flutter will give you a dummy app. I can't run it on the emulator because my laptop will crash, but I will show you how it looks. So this is how the code, which is right here. If I run this code, this is how the dummy app will look on an emulator or on your phone. So it has a heading over there which says Flutter Demo homepage. It shows you an incrementer, like a variable. And if you click on the plus floating action button here, it will increment the number on the screen, like from 0 will become 1, 2, 3, on the basis of how many times you tap on that plus sign. So I'll just go through the code once, like to give you guys a general feedback, like a general idea of how Dart works. So like how you have in C, you have something, you have the main function, right? So similarly, you have a main function here too. This is the function which will be run first on your in your code. So you make sure to add whichever screen you're developing. Screens is basically the each uh, like screen which you go through your app. Like if you have a home page, you have a dashboard, those are individually called screens. So whichever screen which should be shown first in your app, that's the screen which you put into the main function. So all the widgets are classes. You have two types of classes in Dart. You have stateful and stateless. So this is just a stateless widget. Stateful and stateless, if I have to give it to you in brief terms, is like, imagine you have a screen on your phone. So imagine you open up Google Maps. So every time you go to the search bar and you type for a location, so you see that it changes rapidly. Like if for each time you type in a letter, the page changes. Like it shows you a different array of locations. So that's re-rendering every time you add a letter or every time you're changing something. So the whole screen gets re-rendered. So basically, that's stateful. It means that your page will get re-rendered depending upon if the user makes a change. Now, if you go to your gallery and if you go to you click on a picture, now wherever you tap on the phone, there's nothing changing. Like on the picture, if you tap somewhere in some corner, there's nothing going to change. It's basically going to show you the picture itself, and there's nothing which changes immediately if you tap on something. So that's the stateless widget. It's like where you're not changing the state of the screen. You don't want the screen to be re-rendered if you tap somewhere. Like you don't want the screen to be re-rendered if you change some variable or state. So then, yeah, so this is a material app is basically just like a widget which helps you get a title and a theme. Theme is basically what you want for the app, like the colors and what theme you're going for. Homepage is like my homepage. The title is Flutter Demo homepage. So this is like a class where you're passing in a argument saying title Flutter Demo homepage. So once you go here, this is a stateful widget. Because you know why it's a stateful widget? Because the number here, the number which is displaying here, it's changing every time. Like once you click on the button, it changes. So the whole page needs to be re-rendered. Hence, you're using a stateful widget here. Okay. So yeah, this is a stateful widget. So yeah, this is the void incrementer set state. Set state is when you want the page to be, like in case you change the variable and you want the page to be re-rendered, you generally put that variable into the set state function so that the page is re-rendered once the variable is changed. If you don't put the variable in the set state function, the page won't be re-rendered, but the value will change in the variable, but the page won't be rendered. It won't reflect on your app. So always when you want something to change immediately, like you want it to be reflected on your app immediately, you put it into the set state function. So scaffold is just a way of presenting your app. You can have containers, you can have scaffolds. Scaffolds is when you want an app bar on the top, a body in the middle, and a floating action bar on the bottom, a floating action button on the bottom. You can also have containers, containers for the screen of your app. It doesn't matter. Scaffold is just a way when you have all three of them, like an app bar and a body and a button. So app bar, the text here, this app bar is representing this blue part here, which you can see the Flutter Demo homepage. That's your app bar section. And then you have the body, which is centered and which has a column. A column is basically an array. If you're okay, imagine you have an array where you're representing a bunch of buttons. If you want to represent a bunch of buttons one below the other on your screen, so then you use a column because you want to represent each of the button one below the other through the vertical height of your screen. If you want to represent it across your screen, like across the width of your screen, you use something called a row. So when I do a column, a main axis alignment dot center, it means I want it to be centered in my column. And then I go individual children, like what do I want to place within the column? So that first I want to place a text widget, which is you have pushed the button this many times. So if you can see here, this text here, that's the exact same text. So I'm putting that into a column so that because it's one individual element which I want at the top, and then I want the next individual element on the bottom, which shows me the counter. So this is the counter which we had declared the variable on top to keep a count of the number of times I pressed on the button. And it's just following a theme. This theme is for the whole entire app. You can even style it in a different way. Like you can change it. If I want, I can make this as text style, and I can make them as font family. I can put in anything. I can put railway and font size or 20 color, and I can put as, I don't know, colors dot red. Yeah, that will look good. So yeah, you have various widgets like this. If you want to know what all you can put into a widget, like what are the functionalities of the widget, you can always hover over it. This is like an advantage for Android Studio. If you hover over it, it shows you what are attributes you have for the particular widget. Like right now, I can have a text style, I can have a text align, whether I want to align it in the center of the page or to the left or to the right. Then the max lines, like how many lines do I want the text to be spread across? If there's overflow of the text, can I have it in 2 lines or 3 lines, etc., like that. uh, the text style is another widget. It shows you more attributes, like you have color, background color, font size, font weight. So yeah, you get the general idea. So each widget will have a few number of attributes. You can get to know about it by hovering over the particular widget. Now this is the floating action button, which you can see here, the bottom button here. So whenever you have a button, you should always have an attribute called onPressed, because obviously it's a button. People will press on it, so you need to know what it does once you press on it. Now, initially, when you are developing the app, in case you don't know what it is, like you don't know what you want to function, like what you want to tap the button to. So what you do is you put open brackets like this, and then you just put these brackets. So that means, see, you can't remove this attribute. If I remove this attribute, it will show me an error because it's a necessary attribute for the particular widget. See, it says add required argument. So when I click on it, you can keep it empty for now so that it doesn't show you an error, but it and gives you thinking space of what you want to add, like what you want to map the button to. And child is this icons. This plus button here is your icon. This plus button is what the icon they're mentioning here. So yeah, this is like a brief general introduction. It's like I'm giving you an introduction of the dummy app to Flutter. And let's see. So yeah, running your app. This is what I was telling you about. If you're using an emulator, there's a high chance your PC will crash. Even if I personally, like, I use a 8 gigs PC. I have an 8 gigs. I have Intel Core i5 processor, and still my laptop crashes. So if you have like 16 gigs, maybe an i5 or an i7, maybe it won't crash. I can't assure you that. But if you're develop, and it's relatively slower also on the emulator. So if you're like a person who's developing and you want to see the changes more smoothly, or you want to see the app running more smoother, I would suggest you to connect your phone, your Android phone, to your PC via USB cable. Once you do connect it via USB cable, you have to go to the settings. This is another place. You have to do a few changes in your phone. So basically, you have to go to your settings. You have to scroll down completely. You go to the about phone section. You tap 7 times on your build number, and that enables developer options on your phone. And once you enable developer options, you go to your settings. You go to the developers option again, and you enable USB debugging. So once you enable USB debugging, if you connect your phone, like right now, you can see my phone is connected here. This is what, if I can choose an emulator, these are 2 emulators I can choose to run the program, or I can choose my phone here. And once my phone is like selected here, if I click on the button, it'll run the app. So yeah, that's the way to go about it. So I would recommend you guys to use phones rather than emulators. If it runs smooth in a laptop, you can definitely go with the emulator. But if it doesn't, go ahead with using your phone. Then a few tips and tricks I would let you guys know when using Flutter is that, see, when you all when you always start coding, you will realize most of the times you will be creating classes. in Flutter. All widgets are classes. So, and Flutter is based all upon widgets. At least the UI is based completely on widgets. So all widgets are classes, and you will be creating two types of classes mostly: stateful and stateless, which I explained before. So when you are typing the code now, this you'll have to type class my app extends stateless widget blah blah blah, which is boring. You don't want to type that every single time you make a file or make a widget. So what you can do is, if I go into library and main, if I make a new file here, I'll name it test. So if I don't want to go through this process, I'll just type stful. Stful means I want a new stateful widget. So if I type this abbreviation, this acronym stful, and I click enter, it presents the code to me. Why is it in red? Is because I have to import import a library. You always have to import a library. It's called material, Flutter material. Yeah. Once that is done, and I obviously had to give a name to the class. So I'll do it test and test. Hold on a second. I'll go with import material, yeah, stful, and I'll go with test. So yeah, once you do that, you get a stateful widget. Now, in case I want a stateless widget, STLESS, same thing. You can just type down acronym and click enter to get the code for that. Again, I have to give a name, so I'll give test2, and we'll be returning a widget here. You'll be the container. So that's one of the things. There's a Medium article if you want. I'll send the link on Discord where it tells you what acronyms you can use to get a chunk of code immediately on Android Studio. Once that is done, so using features in Android Studio like adding or removing widgets. So imagine I made a container, and container has an important attribute called child, which means within the container, what do I want to place within a container is just like a box. So I need to place something within the box to show to the people, to show to the users. So imagine I put a column, and within the column, I need what I want within the column, the children. So what will I place within the column is widgets, and then I'll go with text. I want to add a text. I'll say hi, and then another text saying, because I want them to be below one another. DSC introduction. So once I do that, now I want to wrap this text within a container because I want to like add a certain margin to the text, or I want to add a certain background to the text. So I would want to add it to a container. So what Android Studio provides is it helps you with this. So see, whenever you want to wrap a particular container with another widget, so you click on the particular widget and you go here, and it gives you an option. It says wrap with a widget. So the ones below here are like famous things people regularly use, widgets which people regularly use. So I can wrap it with a center widget, which will center my text in the screen, or I can wrap it with a row with a column padding, which will give me padding to the text, or I can do it with a sized box, or move the widget up and down. Like if I want this, like imagine I put the text. I want this to be, or wait a second. Yeah, I want this to be above. I click here. So what happens is this text came below, and the DSC introduction text came above. So in case these are small widgets, you can do this manually. But in case you have large widgets, like you have large widgets and you want to move the widget below on top, you can do that easily with these functionalities. Now, in case I want to remove the center or widget, so generally what happens is if you're using a text, then you have to remove the brackets and if you have complex code, finding the bracket which is missing is a pain in the hell. So you just go here and you click on remove widget, it will remove the center widget. So yeah, this will help you a lot. It might seem like a small thing, but when you're developing your code, this will help you add widgets and remove widgets with much more ease. So the next thing I want to focus on, while writing code, if an error shows up, you can hover over the particular thing which is highlighted in red and it will show you the error. Like now, right, in case, imagine I add a floating action button. Now see, generally it will show you the onPressed attribute by default, because onPressed is a mandatory attribute for a floating action button. But imagine I remove that and I just put brackets. So it's showing me an error because it's highlighted in red. It means there's an error with it. Now, how will I know what's the error? You can go here again. It will be in red. If you click under, first of all, you can just hover over it. If you hover over it, it will tell you. See, it says the named parameter on pressed is required, but there's no corresponding argument. So this is try adding the required argument. So it's telling me I need to add the on pressed argument. And if I click here, it will add required argument. See, your problem solved. This is why I say you guys should start off with Android Studio. VS Code may not provide this functionality without extensions, but Android Studio, this is there by default. This will help you guys a lot. Then, so yeah, if you have any errors, it will show you the errors. You can try, if it's easily understandable, you guys can directly like solve it by if there's a like I showed you guys here. If it gives you the option like this, or you can directly do it. Sometimes it wouldn't give you the option if it's some complex error. In that case, it'll show you the error definitely. If you hover over it, it'll show you what the error is, and then you can just Google it. I'm pretty sure on Stack Overflow you'll find any solution to all of the errors. And if in case we also mentors will be like on Google Discord, on Discord. So if you guys have any errors which you guys aren't able to solve very easily, you can ping us on Discord and we'll help you out. Another important thing is indentation. Even Arnav stressed on this point. Indentation is where you have, like, see, it's not just about coding. It's not about you making your app work. You should be able to present your code. If another person's trying to view your code and if it's not easily understandable to that person, it's not very good. You need to make sure that your code is even understandable to another person, where your code is even when you look at it later, like down the line or a year later or something, you should be able to understand your own code. It should be structured well enough and it should be indented well enough. So like Arnav mentioned in the previous session, that if you use the in VS Code, there's an extension called Prettifier. So you have to add that, and once you use that, it will indent your code in a good looking way. So Android Studio has this by default. So imagine I'll just remove this code offline, and I put this in one line. I put this in one line. So yeah, I have this in two lines and I put this in one line. So you see this, I want it in a nice structured way. So what you can do is if you right click here and if you go to this, there's this option called reformat code with .fmt. So once you click on it, you see it's properly aligned. It's properly indented. You see the each closing bracket for a particular one. Once you click on it, it highlights which bracket it's closing. This will help you if you remove some part of your code, and then if you want to, if there's any missing brackets or something, this will help you get past it. But make sure when you're using reformat with dot, you need to make sure that every line ends with a comma. Now in case if I don't end with a comma here, and if I put in the same line, I don't think so. Yeah, it will format it in a weird way. So make sure you always add commas to the end of your attributes in each widget. It'll make sure it's in each line then. So yeah, that's important. And another important thing of Android Studio is you have the option of hot restart. So if any of you guys have already worked with app development, you know that when you're running the code, it takes an initial time. Like if it might take 5 minutes, might take 10 minutes, even maybe 15 minutes to install the APK into your phone and run the APK and synchronizing all the files. It takes quite some time. And if you're developing and you make a screen and you want to change the screen immediately, it takes a lot of time to find out, to see these changes if you keep restarting the app again and again. So when you're doing this, initially you have to do the run. When you click on it, see it's when you're doing it for the first time, it'll take a few minutes. So it'll show you starting dev tools, and it will start with initializing your whole project and starting making an APK and running it everything. So this is the terminal for your Android Studio. Once you do run on it, Once you run, it's launching the libmain.dart. See, this is your main file, so it's gonna run that file first. So it's launching on my phone right now. I can't show you the phone, but yeah, it's running there. So once this is done, this is the initial, when you want to run the code. Initially, you do this. After you're done that, imagine you make a small change on your code. Like imagine you change the font size, which imagine you put some text like DS introduction high. That text is too large on your phone and you want to change the font size. Once you change the font size, you want to immediately see that change. One thing is, if you click on Control S, it will show you the change. If it's something like where it's a stateless widget, where you're changing the font of your text, it will show it to you when you click on Control S. Like when you save the file, it will show it to you on your phone immediately. But if it's something like a stateful widget, like the variable has been changed, then it's better to click on this option here called Flutter Hot Restart. So what it does is it just changes that particular screen, or it changes the whole app in a way, in a more simplistic way. It restarts immediately. Like there's no delay between running the app again. So where the difference is that if you run the app, like if you do this, like this run the main dot dart, it will take approximately 5, 10, 15 minutes depending upon your PC. But if you do hot restart, it will show you the change within 10 to 15 seconds, or maybe even lesser. It shows it generally immediately. So that's the advantage of hot restart over running the app, running the entire code. So yeah, again, for all the docs which I've shown you, I'll be sending the links on Discord. And I would recommend you guys, if you're completely novice to Flutter, I would recommend you guys to watch a series called Flutter Introduction by Net Ninja on YouTube. It was a series which I had watched personally when I started learning Flutter, and it's very good. Like it gives you a very good introduction to Flutter in a very good way. It's the link for it is already in the resources section of the Discord server. So yeah, this will be all from my end with the Flutter introduction. So yeah, thank you guys and all the best. I hold on. I think we might give you guys. If you guys have any queries, you can please put it in the comment section, or you can also put it in the Discord server. We will answer those queries there also. So Kulachi, Arnav, do you guys have anything else to say?
Yeah, so just replying to some of the queries that people had.
Yeah.
Right.
Mayank Singh, i5 HN and above with 8 GB RAM works fine. Yeah, it really depends, because I have a i5 with 8th gen itself, and I have a 8 gigs of RAM. I mean, if it works, if it works, you can test it out. If it works fine, then it's cool. You can use your emulators on your laptop. But if in case it is slow, because on my laptop I have the same specs, it's generally slower. Because when I connect to my phone, it launches much quicker and it's more convenient for me. So I generally plug in directly by USB. So it's up to you. It's your cup of tea. Whichever is more comfortable with you guys, you can pick on that. So stateful is how you make an interactive object. Yes, you can say that. What do you mean by high end? And don't get me wrong. VS Code is not something which only high end users use. Like it's not something which is professional or something like that. It's just that Visual Code provides you like a large array of functionality. Like it's not just Dart or Java or something. You can use VS Code for all sorts of languages. So hence, generally, when you start coding professionally, people just want one app to save space on their laptops. So they use VS Code for that reason. If you guys, I mean, I as a novice started off with Android Studio itself. I still don't use VS Code because Android Studio is more comfortable for me. So I would recommend you guys to go about with Android Studio itself. Which is better, Java or Kotlin in terms of simplicity? It really depends. Some people find Kotlin easier, some people find Java easier. I personally had done Java before coming here. I had done Java in school, so I had a brief understanding of how Java is. And I guess, if I'm not sure, but you guys will be having a special topic on Java. I don't know if it's this sem or the next sem. I think it's third sem, if I'm not wrong, because we had Java in third sem. So maybe if Java will be a little bit maybe even not now, but once you learn through when you once you go through your special topic and you learn Java, you'll it'll make more sense for you guys than Kotlin. So I could say that me, Arnav, and Kulachi, all three of us prefer Java over Kotlin. So it's up to you. It's your cup of tea, but we would recommend Java. Any playlists or videos you can recommend for beginners? Yeah, as I was telling you, you can for Flutter you can check out Net Ninja. He gives a very good introduction to Flutter. I've already sent the like we've already placed the link in the resources section of the Discord server. You guys should definitely check out his video. It's very good. Even I think you guys might have web development this sem. Even for those, he has very great videos. You can check out those as well. A really good introduction to Flutter. So yeah,
Um,
those are I think most of
right.
the
So
questions.
yeah. So now, but the next step, now that you've joined Override, the next step we have is that on this Sunday, we'll be reviewing your prototypes, which basically means that once you're done ideating what you want to make, you will be making a basic design of that. You can use Figma or you can use Adobe XD, you can use either of them. And you will be presenting that to us. And this will not just be like a presentation of, us judging how your design is. It'll also be an interactive session where if you have any questions, you can ask us and we can help you either ideating what you want to make, the app that you're trying to make, and also, how your app can be available in the market in the market, or how, it compares to the other apps that are already present and how good your idea is. So it's not just going to be a judging thing. We're also going to help you either change your design or help you with the design or even help you with your idea. So that's the next step. That's going to be now. So you have from now till Sunday, and we'll be releasing a list of all the teams and the timings that you will have to come and present. You don't need to make a PPT, but if you think that you need one while you're explaining so you don't forget any points, let's say, you can feel free to make that. Um, Right, so that's about it from us, I think.
And also, guys, what we would say is that don't consider this event as a competition. It's not something where you guys have to win it. This event is meant to give you a introduction to app development. It's meant for us, like for our seniors, to give you like an introduction and where you guys can learn about app development via Flutter, Android, and Figma. It gives you like a wholesome idea of how you should go about it. So please, don't. I know it's a competition, but like don't consider it as a competition. Think of it as a learning platform where you guys can learn about all these things. And if you have please share all your doubts. Like if you have any doubts with anything, you can ping us any one of us on Discord, and we will try our best to answer to all your queries.
Right,
So
exactly. And for the doubt clearing part, you need to make sure that you are on the Discord server and you have made your team so that we can come to your private voice channels and we can help you out however you want. Right?
is there any theme or any minimum requirements that you guys expect? No, we do not. We do not have any theme. It's an open theme event. Any minimum requirements? No, we do not. See, since you guys are now second years, we do not expect any high-end projects from you guys. A basic standard, like there should be a little bit of understand, like a basic standard for your project, but we do not expect anything high-end. So there's no minimum requirements. The sky is the limit. You can start off. You can make a basic app. We don't expect much. Even when that's why we on Sunday we're having a presentation of your prototype so that we can tell you guys what you guys can add or what you can maybe change or anything like that. So yeah, is there anyone else with any other queries? Okay, maybe not now, but if you guys do have any queries later on, like Kulachi said, you can ask on Discord, and you guys have to be added on teams in your particular team on Discord. So yeah, guys, I think that's all for this introductory session. We'll meet you guys again on Sunday, and you guys can think and ideate your app from now. Good luck. See you guys on Sunday.
Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Yes, yeah,
Thank you
exactly. Yeah,
for
thank you for
watching. Good luck.
watching. Hope we would have helped you guys. Thank you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.